Well, hey, my name is Chris. Most of y'all probably know me as Chazar, and most of y'all probably wonder, did his mom really name him that? But no, my name is Chris. Chazar is my last name, but it'd be pretty sweet to have Chazar as the first name. Hey, this is my fourth Kaleo. I just finished my senior year at Mizzou, but I didn't graduate. I'm going back for a fifth year. That's solely because Mizzou football is looking great this year. I had to come back. It's not because I'm really dumb. But Kevin took us through the science of a Bible study, and so along with all the science, there's an art to it as well. And so that's something I'm going to take you guys through, the art to a small group discussion. But before I do so, I feel like I've gotten off to a bad rap with you guys. I got off to a bad start with you. So far, you guys know me as the dude with the weird first name, the dude that burped and picked his nose on camera, and the dude that Sims made fun of for farting at the Kaleo Project picture. And so I feel like I'm off to a bad start, so hopefully I can put a better foot forward for you guys. And so to do so, I'm going to do the classic every single Sumo staff guy does, and show you guys my family. And so that's my mom right there on the left, and she's holding, her name's Heather. That's my little brother right there, Nick. And then on the right side is my dad, Juwan. Just kidding. That's not actually my dad. That's one of my buddies from school. He's from Japan, and I got the awesome privilege to get to lead him in the faith this past year. And so yeah, he's like one of my best buds. But this is actually my dad right here on the left, and that's my dog I'm holding up there. And so a little fun fact about us is we actually live on an island. We live on an island off the coast of Seattle, and so right there we're standing on there's a cliff, and then that's the Pacific Ocean. So pretty wild, fun fact for you guys. But hey, this is my first time I'm not making a fool of myself on stage. My first time I'm ever giving a serious talk, and so man, I was really trying to figure out what kind of preacher do I want to be. You know what I'm saying? And so there's a lot of different kind of preachers out there, and so some examples of them are, and this one is the pastor that I have back at school, and some of you Mizzou people might be able to recognize, but he's like the serious, let's get serious smart pastor, you know what I'm saying? So he'll like be preaching, like lower his voice, and then like there's God's like, all right, let's get serious right here. He got this slide right here. So if you look at the Greek word 17:3-5, you can see that's metamorph, and then that's a metamorphosis, and so we're talking about structure stuff. And then if you look back to the Hebrew and back to Isaiah 41, he actually prophesies about this, and so he's like the smart, let's get serious guy. That's my first preacher I thought about. The next preacher I thought about was like the preacher. So not just a preacher, but the preacher. These guys might be related to those crazy kids that stand up with the megaphone on the side of the streets, you know, because they're leaning over the pulpit, screaming, you know, repent and believe, you know. And so I didn't want to be those guys. So the next kind of preacher I thought about. D. Reese has helped me with this one, was the Southern Baptist preacher, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. So I was working on my impersonation for him, and so you know they do a little bit like, in the Lord, you know what I'm saying? Or Hallelujah, Amen. Yep, that's right. I don't know why did they shake their hand when they did? I don't know, but yeah, that's good. That's right. The last one I thought about was the word emphasizer. You know what I'm talking about? So Hayes was preaching on 2 Timothy 1:7, and so he's like, and the what? And the who? Oh, the Spirit. The Spirit gave us what? Gave it to who? Timothy. To you. What did he not give us? He didn't give us this. He didn't give us timidity, but rather, the Spirit gives us what? He gives us power, He gives us love, and self-discipline, you know? So he's the word emphasizer. But, man, so each one of these preachers, man, they can all talk about the same thing. For example, this week we're talking about prayer, like Cindy's talking about. And Man, they can all preach a sermon on prayer. They're going to have the same outline, the same backbone, the same science to what they're going to preach about, but it's all about the delivery. That's what makes them different, right? And so there's really an art to preaching. And so same as like what Kevin was talking about, the saxophone. Man, there's a science behind it. You got to maybe be able to read the notes. You got to be able to put your fingers on the right keys at the right time. And really, maybe you graduate from that, and it gets to a place where it's smooth, right? It's music, it's art. And so thinking about a professional saxophone player, they're not thinking through every single time they're playing the saxophone that I gotta have my fingers here at this time, and this note means this, and this note means this. It's just natural, and so it's smooth. So there's an art to playing the saxophone. Music is an art. And so, man, what I'm going to take you guys through is the art of leading a small group discussion. And so, I just have a few tips for this. And so, to set the stage for you guys have, you started on Sunday. You started preparing the science behind your study, and so you have your perfect study plan out. You have all the perfect questions, and so now it's Tuesday night. And then it's game time, and so you're in the study, and so this is when the art comes out, is in the practicality of when you're leading out the science of the study. And so my first, I'm just going to give you guys some tips, like I said, to elevate your small group discussion. The first thing I have for you guys is to launch well. And so what I mean by launching well is meaning that you guys, when you're leading the study, you're leading it, and so you're setting the tone for the rest of the group and the questions to follow. So some points that I have on launching well is first and foremost is you got to bring energy, right? And so this, thinking about what I said, you set the tone. And so, as the leader of the group, you really set the environment for the rest of the night. Thinking about back to those pastors, if they came up here and they stood up here and they had a really boring voice and they just stared at their notes and read from their notes the whole time, no one would go to that church, right? It would be boring. And same with our Bible study, because we want to bring the energy so that people are engaged and it's fun, right? And so, on the same lines, it set the tone in creating good conversation. Ted touched on this one. We want to create a kickoff question that gets the people talking. And so, I think a good kickoff question, it creates an atmosphere of everyone wanting to provide input. So get creative on these. I think a great kickoff question, wow, words are hard. Kickoff question is the one that's really helpful is that it relates back to the study. Kevin touched on this, so I'm like, for example, I'm giving you guys a talk on the art of the Bible study. So I talked about the art of preaching, the art of the saxophone. If I would have kicked this off with the dog I want for Christmas or something like that, and then went into the art, it wouldn't make sense, and so the kickoff would have been pointless. And so you want your kickoff question to relate back to the study, and this allows for just smooth transitions into the actual study. So now you're in the actual study, and the next tip I have for you guys is to ask questions with confidence and be okay with silence. And so, silence is okay, and it's okay if there's a little bit of silence after you ask the question. In fact, it's probably a good thing, because they're probably just processing the question you just asked and how they're going to answer it. And so, don't panic whenever there is silence, because it's guaranteed to happen in our study. I think a good way to minimize silence is minimizing confusion. And so, I think, Kevin talked about having short, concise, and simple questions. And so, when you have these questions, when you know your questions are short, concise, and simple, there's no reason why you shouldn't be confident in them. And so, that's my tip for you guys with that. And my last tip for launching well is really preparing well. And this is a huge one. That's why it's in all caps. I think, it's super important that we are well prepared for our study, because the more you know, the more you have prepped, the more it's just going to be natural, the more it's going to be smooth, and the more you can really pour into other people in your studies. I've showed up to studies before, not well prepared. I've winged it before, and I can guarantee you that people in my study could tell. And honestly, if I look back on it, I was really just selling them short, if anything, because they could have walked away that night after that D-group time, that small group discussion, just taking away more if I was better prepared. And so, I think it's super important that we prepare well some ways that I think you can prepare well for your studies is looking over your study multiple times, so you can make changes and you can catch that one thing that you didn't catch before, and you can really just really climb it up to be the perfect study for your read tonight. Other ways I've prepared well for a study is reading an extra commentary or listening to a sermon on the passage that we're studying, just so I can gain some more insight. I can gain someone else's view on the passage, and that gives me more knowledge going into the study, which is super helpful. All right, so you guys have gotten down, set the tone. You guys have launched well, and now you're in the meat of things. You're in the thick of stuff, and so you're in the study now. And so my next tip for you guys is to guide well. And so guiding well just involves it's just the time between each question and answer, and so it's really how you make the study flow. It's just where you get to be smooth, you know what I'm saying? And so this allows for the thoughts and answers in discussion to be a discussion rather than like a robotic, awkward thing, right? And so my first point for you guys is to launch the questions conversationally and relationally. And this, I could have put this under launching well or guiding well, but I chose to put it under the guiding well section is because, man, you really want to make the discussion smooth. You really want to make it a conversation. And so, man, this will take a little bit of practice, but man, it just takes your study to a whole nother level when you do it. When you make it, relational, make it a conversation. So, and the goal is to be relatable as possible, and not to feel like you're preaching a sermon to them, right? And so. The more they talk, the less you talk, the better. And so I think making it a conversation is super important. Man, some tips I have for you guys on what not to do for this. I would write these down right next to this bullet point is don't just read from your paper. And so this goes back to preparing well. And when I know what questions I have prepped, I don't have to read them off from the paper. And so that helps to make it a conversation. Here's some phrases not to say. Don't say, my next question is. Don't say, here's my next question. And those aren't smooth. Another, some more phrases not to say is, all right, let's move down to some interpretation questions. Or here's my illustration. You guys are all laughing, but I've done this before. It's not the end of the world if you do this, but I think if you want to make it smooth, you want to make it a conversation, I would just leave those out. I think when you do use these, it can make the study seem a little bit more robotic. And we don't want that. Kind of playing into this is my next thing. So you've asked your question and people are thinking, of their answers. And so while they're doing so, you guys want to look ahead to the next question right after launching your previous question. So this is so that you don't have to read your next question off your paper, like I was talking about. So you can be, and also allows you to be aware of where the discussion is going, what people are answering, and so you can guide it better, and you're not like looking at your paper, and what questions to ask, you're paying attention to what the answers they have to say are. And so, man, a great way, man, when you aren't looking down or looking down at your paper because you looked at it right after asking the last question, is to make eye contact and have good posture. And so, why is this important? Man, I would say, man, it shows that you're just engaged in the conversation, man, and that you're actively listening to what the other person is saying. I've found that, man, I found this true that, when I am making good eye contact, when I have good posture, just that the people in the study, there's a better chance that they're going to get real thoughts out of them, and just that they'll just you get better thoughts of someone when they believe that you're actually interested in what they have to say. And so, man, I feel like this is kind of a hard one to do if you don't prepare well. So going back to that, man, and so because if you don't prepare well, you're looking at your study, you're actually looking at the questions and what they are. And even good posture, thing about that is you don't want to be like slunched over, you don't want to be like lounging back. I feel like this, like, body language is like a real thing, you know what I'm saying? And so, back to the pastors, if the pastors were like standing up here and like sitting in a lazy boy, or even just like sitting up here like hunched over, and like not like it would be distracting, and it would be less engaging, and so I'd be less likely to pay attention to what they had to say. And so I think it's an important one. Man, I think another crucial part of creating dialogue and making discussion a relational conversation is just to affirm answers and connect the dots. like I said, this one is crucial because, man, affirmation, man, it's to say to someone, hey, that's a good thought. I feel like, man, that gives them confidence, makes them want to answer the next question that you have for them. And even if their answer isn't exactly what you're looking for, man, that's how you can connect the dots and you can bring it right back into what you want them to walk away knowing. So a good example of this would be, man, hey, I like what you had to say, Terrell. I thought that too. I mean, you can definitely see that Paul is talking about spiritual multiplication, verse 2. That could be one example of maybe something along those lines. And so just connecting the dots back to where you want them to be at the end of that question, what you want them to take away. And so, and the only time I really wouldn't affirm an answer is if it's like completely wrong, right? You can't affirm something that's false. And so, but that's pretty rare that happens. But I've said it's the only time you don't want to affirm something. And last thing I got for you guys for guiding well is just breeds depth in your study. It builds depth in your study, and that's just asking build-off questions. Man, I think when you ask build-off questions, you have already you can take the thought deeper that the person initially had or said, and then this can allow for them to connect between what the passage is saying and how they can apply it to their lives, right? And so, and I think that some examples of some good build-off questions could be, hey, that's a great thought, Terrell. Tristan, what do you think about that? Or what do you mean when you say that? Or why do you think that? I think those are great build-off questions that are natural. It just creates more of a dialogue. It makes more of a conversation. And so, man, build-off questions are big time for just making the study, the small group discussion smooth. And so we've set the tone. We've launched well. Man, the study's going great. And we're guiding it well. It's smooth. And so the final thing that we have to do is bring it home. And this is just how it sounds. And you're landing discussion, and you either make a transition to the next question that you have prepped, or bringing the study to an end. And the first thing I have for you guys is to restate and summarize the answer from your questions. And so, I think a great leader will sometimes summarize everyone's thoughts. And so, I think you guys can keep these short and sweet, but just long enough that the people in the study can retain what they said. But I think that the key to doing this well is jotting down in your own notes what they said, what their answers were. I also think a quick tip with these is not doing this after every single question. That'll just drag out your study, make it longer, and it'll also just lose its significance, its power if you do it every single time, right? Next tip for you guys is a huge key Kevin talked about is staying on track with the TWA. And so your TWA is your bread and butter, it's your money maker. It's what you base every single question off of. I feel like if you can launch terribly, it can be like a super not smooth discussion. But if they walked away with one takeaway because you stayed to the TWA, I think that's 100% of your success in the study. And so I feel like, man, going back to the TWA is super important. And I feel like sometimes people can go super wide, and all of their questions can have nothing to do with each other, and they just want to cover everything, and they just go, all right, how do we apply this? And it's just, if no one walks away, learning more, they actually walk away learning less. And so I feel like it's super important that you guys want to stick to your TWA. I think when you want to avoid getting off on tangents off of the main topic, I do think, man, some rabbit trails, some small ones are good for creating conversation, but man, you're leading the study, so you got to guide those back in to the main point. You don't want to let them go too long either. And so my next point for you guys, and this is the last one for guiding or for bringing it home, is just keeping track of time. Write this down right next to it. Less is more. Less is more. And so this is what some advice that was given to me a lot of times. I'm probably going too long a lot of times. But hey, you guys have to be sensitive to other people's time. I mean, I'm sure you guys have sat in on some super long studies before, and man, it just gets monotonous. You start to lose attention, and I feel like in long studies, people actually walk away learning less. So I think it's super important just to keep track of time. So, for example, to make it tangible, so down here at Kaleo, we do a 2-tier study in second the passage we're looking at in 2 Timothy. And so there's 2 different topics we hit. Y'all are going to lead a 1-tier study when you get to lead one. But for a 2-tier study, I think 45 minutes cap it out of that. And so maybe that can help you guys gauge how long a 1-tier study can go. If you can divide 45 by 2, it'd be impressive. Well, hey, just to kind of wrap up our time, we're going to have some final thoughts, some final tips, some conclusions for you guys. And so those are, first one, be confident. And 2 Tim 1:7, memorize this one, guys. For the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. I'm sure that should be the word emphasizer just now. But hey, like when you're confident in your study, and it helps people buy into what you have to say. I mean, confidence really does go like a long way. I mean, I'm sure, like I really think this, like someone can come up here on stage and tell me one of the most bizarre things in the world, but if they say it with like complete confidence, I'm just like, yeah, okay, bro. Like, I'll buy into it. And so, I mean, I think confidence is crucial with this. My next tip for you guys is to pray and practice. And so, man, we look at here Ephesians 6:18-19. And so, man, Paul is saying, man, is pray in every situation. And so, I know if you're leading the Bible study, I feel like it's a great situation in which to pray for. But then he also says, hey, pray also for me that whenever I speak, words are given to me. I feel like, I mean, this is a prayer I say a lot. And so, when going into a Bible study, it's super smart that you're reading a Bible study, so you might as well ask God for words to say, so that people walk away taking something. And I pray this prayer while I was walking up here. And so, I think it's a good prayer to pray. Next I got for you guys is seek out feedback. Proverbs 19:20. Listen to advice and accept instruction, that you may gain wisdom in the future. I think if you won't ever know what you need to improve on if you don't ask for feedback. And so what that can look like is this summer, ask your youth leader, if you're back on campus, asking the people in your group, hey, simply is, hey, what can I do better next time? And that's just a way that you can make your study just that much better next time. And it just shows humility. You know what I'm saying? That everyone has something to work on. I can have a ton of work on making Bible study. And so I still ask for feedback after leading them. And then my last thing for you guys is man, don't overcomplicate it. It's simply just guiding the conversation. And so, man, I think about how many times on stage tonight I've said the word discussion or conversation. And so, man, I feel that's the main thing is you want a conversation, you want to preach at them. Just think about like any natural conversation you will have with someone every single day, like at work, around North Bay, it's the same thing. It's like you're just guiding it, right? So I feel like that idea, I mean, it gives me confidence when I'm around leading studies. It's like I'm just creating conversation with someone, with 3 people. And so, man, it also like when you're not preaching at them, man, it's really an art to get someone to take something away from the study by just asking questions. There's an art to it. And so, I feel like when you do that, man, people actually walk away learning more than if you just preach them the whole time. So, and that's why we do it. But to wrap us up and to close this out, each of you guys come and mention this are going to get a lead a study this summer, and so be excited for it. I believe in you guys. Man, I was way less competent. I was a total meathead my first Kaleo, and mine went relatively smoothly. And so you guys are way more competent than I am, and so I'm very confident, a lot of C words, and you guys. Man, I would just say, man, you guys want to pray and practice before your studies. You guys want to, man, seek feedback after your studies. We all have a ton to improve on these. Man, I even think about, man, the best preacher, the best saxophone player, and they wouldn't be the best if they didn't seek feedback afterwards. And if they didn't pray, I don't know if they pray. But practice, preacher probably pray. And then if they didn't practice, and so, man, the more you do this, the more natural it's going to come with doing this. But I hope you guys are excited for leading the Bible study. Keep these notes next to you when you're writing them. Write your studies this summer. And when you're back on campus, I did that for a while. And so to close this out, I'm just going to pray, and Sims is going to come on up here. And so, God, I thank you just for the trainings we get. God, down here at Kaleo, I pray we wouldn't take them for granted. God, I pray. And that, or just thank you, God, that we get to be a part of your kingdom, God, and lead Bible studies. We get to study your word, God, and learn from it and apply it to our lives. And so I pray that we lead Bible studies well, God, we prepare well, God, and we pray and rely on you, and always we pray, Jesus' feet. Amen.
Amen. Hey, y'all go over to